Welcome back to another episode, and this time we're looking at creatures. Wow. If you weren't here for the first episode where we looked at Okayden, I recommend checking it out here. But yeah, we're just going to go over the session file for what I've done in Ableton, and just have a chat about design choices and that sort of thing, making the song. So before we get in, just a reminder, there's merch available in the links below, and you can pre-save Okayden, the single, which is coming out December 15th. You can also pre-save the album if you choose to. And there's also a Bandcamp listening party happening on the 13th of December before the album comes out, which is very exciting. So if you want to go save that, links below. Once again, here's the session file. I have had to mute some sections of the song. If you haven't heard the song, go listen to it first so you can understand why I might have to mute them. So that way, you know, the YouTube, doesn't flag this video and gets taken down. So let's go into it. So we'll start off with Secret Sauce, which is just the lead. So this is just pretty simple. Let me open that up so you can see things well. There's the chords in the first part, and then I've just copied the same thing but then sort of filled in the gaps with extra little bits to give it some variation between every 4 bars, which is quite fun. And then that sort of just goes through the whole thing. I think the only section that sort of changes is after midway, which is this bit here. And that's just a separate sort of similar sort of chords going on, but then it's just got different lead stuff going on. And then otherwise, the only changes to that for the rest of the song is this part here towards the end fades down to sort of give it a bit empty space. So that way when we go back into the same chords from the start of the track, like now, it just sort of helps build that back up rather than sort of, I found it a bit jarring when it was without the fade, but it was like straight into it. I was like, no, that doesn't quite work like that. But yeah, that's the lead of the song, which is the Vital plugin. If you haven't heard of it, you will hear me talk about it a lot because I absolutely love it. It's a free plugin, so powerful. If you're a fan of Serum or any of those other ones, I highly recommend checking out Vital if you don't want to pay for a synthesizer at this point in time. But this plugin is a simple bass that I've turned into the lead, which, speaking on Vital a bit more, not sponsored by them or anything, I just love it. It comes with a whole bunch of free templates that you can use, and a lot of them are really, really powerful. So I highly recommend looking at them first before jumping into making your own, because that will help you understand sort of how things work within it. But there's also websites where people have uploaded a whole bunch of presets they've made. So if there's like a sound you're looking for, you can go to one of them and find something like that. Anyways, I digress. Let's have a look at the bass. So if I solo that, you might not hear that in phone speakers. So maybe I should put a headphone warning on. But that's just a real crunchy. So that's just one of the Ableton basic subs that I've chucked through a couple EQs, compressors, that sort of thing, and Crush, which is a really nice distortion tool that I use on a couple of things as well. And that's got, I'm sure I haven't played around with that, but you know what, I'm not going to give everything away. And here's the pad that's in the track, which is that real spacey sort of one. As you can see there, that's another Ableton preset, basic pad thing. And quite nice. I was very adverse when I was first starting music to using the Ableton preset stuff, because I was like, oh, well, if it's in the program, everyone's got it and it's all going to sound the same. So I avoided looking at it for ages. And with this album, I sort of tried to get rid of that mentality and had a look. And I was like, oh, some of this is actually pretty cool, and I'll chuck some of it in and then I'll edit it so that way it doesn't sound too generic, out of the box kind of thing. And then here's the drums. So 4 on the floor kick. That's just really got a bit of buzz going on. So that's just a glue compressor to hold it all together. That's had, yeah, a whole bunch of effects added to it. Claps, hats, hi-hats, shakers, crash. And then later on we've got the little conga parts that come in to give it that tribal vibe that fits in with the original version of the track. Oh, let me redo that. So here are the congas, and that sort of just helps with that general. Let me try that one more time. All right, so here's the drums. Basic 4 on the floor kick with a whole bunch of compression and a whole bunch of extra effects added on. Clap is in there. Pretty basic stuff for your, your house bands. And then just some hats and stuff. And then later on we've got the congas come in, which I don't own a conga, so is a loop. But I've chopped that up a bit so that way it has some variation, and then every so often it changes, just to add in that tribal vibe of the vocal snippet back into the track to sort of blend that all together, which is a bit of fun. And then yeah, that's pretty much the whole way through. Got an effect here, which is just a sort of like a vocal snippet that's been heavily reverbed kind of thing. I think I got this in a sample pack somewhere, and I thought that was really cool. Fits in quite nicely. And then I've just got the risers, which I've sort of blended together. It's cool. So this second one is just a white noise riser, but then this one's sort of got a real dirty grit to it, which I quite liked, but yeah, felt it wasn't strong enough on its own to sort of feel what I was after. And that's the track. It's a real quick one for you all today. So if we just go back and unmute everything, this is it. And this is probably the only time you'll ever hear the instrumental of it. Which is, yeah, very nice. So, I haven't spoken about the return effects yet. So if you saw my last video, I barely touched them because it was a very strange track that I made. So with this one, this is probably more in line with a lot more of the stuff I'll do. I don't know if I use 5 of them on the rest of my tracks, but like you'll see in the rest of the videos, this is kind of the stuff that I do. So we just go to the Valhalla presets. Valhalla Space Modulator on one and Valhalla Supermassive on the other. I don't know why that's saying default preset. I'm sure I've changed that up, or that's just a visual glitch. Yeah, that's a very wrong that I've changed up. So I quite like those two. I'm pretty sure they're free, or they were when I got them. And so yeah, if I don't want a basic reverb, I'll go for those sort of ones, or basic reverb and delay, I should say. Next is a 4-band OTT. So OTT is quite limited, the basic one I should say. So I've sort of built this one to sort of cover each EQ'd section that I want, rather than just sort of like big blocks of the spectrum. So all of these macros over here let me adjust each of the different sections to see how it feels, which is quite cool. And then that's just got a little bit of an EQ there just to drop the sub out a little bit more. The masker is a cool tool. So if we play a bit of the track, you're not going to be able to see that work, because the way it works is down here where it's got the side chain, you choose a track. So in this instance, I've got the vocals, and what the masker does is you channel all the other sounds that are sort of in the same frequency range. So like your like the lead and that sort of thing into this plugin, and then anytime the vocal comes in, it drops the EQ where it sees conflicting frequency between that and anything you sent to it. Or you can also bring up other frequencies. So if I want the mid-ranges in this track to drop down, I can mask them, but then if I want the more higher ends to stand up to sort of like bring back the volume of the thing that I'm dropping down, that also does it at the same time. It's quite a simplistic layout is what we're looking at, but it's actually really complicated under the hood. And this was designed by some uni students, I believe, and I think it's a free software that they've just uploaded for their uni course or something like that, which is really cool. So I recommend checking that out, which is mastered by Sign Mystics. Really cool. I don't think, yeah, that's just empty. I think I had something planned there, but then it wasn't quite working, and I've just left the return track there in case I came back to it, but I didn't. Anyway, so that's the track, which is, you know, I quite like it. I quite like all my music. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. If it's your first time here, welcome. If it's returning, thanks for coming back. Tell all your friends about it if they're muso people and want to see this sort of stuff. I highly thank you for your time watching this far. And yeah, don't forget to charge your phones, and I'll see you in the next episode from the track Alarm. Bye!